The 15-year-old washing machine sitting in your kitchen right now, the one an engineer told you was on its last legs, may be a better machine than almost anything you can buy new today. And the entire appliance industry is quietly hoping you scrap it before you ever work that out. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which old machines are worth keeping or buying, the 4-second test that tells you if one is built to last, and the precise reason a brand new machine is engineered to die years sooner than the one you were told to throw away. Here is how it usually happens. A man in Sheffield has a washing machine that is 15 years old. It has washed for a family of 4, twice a day, for a decade and a half. One morning it starts to rumble on the spin cycle. He calls an engineer who listens for 10 seconds, sucks his teeth, and says the words the industry trains us all to accept. It is the bearings. On a machine this old, it is not worth it. You're better off buying new. So he scraps a machine that needed a £30 part and buys a shiny new one for $350. 6 years later, that new one is dead. Sealed drum, unrepairable, landfill. Here is the part nobody told him. His 15-year-old machine had a drum that could be opened, a bearing that could be pressed out and replaced for the price of a takeaway, and a build that was never going to give up. The new one had none of that. It was designed from the first sketch to be thrown away. That is not bad luck. That is the business model. Let me explain why this hits harder in Britain than almost anywhere else, because the conditions here turn a bad situation into a genuinely expensive one. Start with the water. Large parts of the UK, especially the south and east, sit in hard water zones, and hard water means limescale. Limescale is the silent killer of heating elements, and the thing that quietly furs up a machine over years. An older machine built from heavier, simpler components shrugs this off and keeps going. A modern machine packed with delicate electronics and a sealed plastic drum has far less tolerance for it. So the exact conditions that reward a tough old machine are the conditions most British homes actually have. Then there is the throwaway culture, and Britain is close to the top of the global league table for it. The UK generates one of the highest volumes of electronic waste per person of any country on earth, second only to Norway by some measures. Millions of washing machines go to landfill or scrap every year, a large share of them repairable. A machine that needed a £30 bearing gets crushed, shipped, and replaced by a new one that took energy and raw materials to build, when the old one had years of life left in it. We have been trained to replace rather than repair, and the industry has built its margins around that training. Every scrapped machine is a sale. Add Brexit, which has made spare parts from EU suppliers slower and dearer to bring in, giving engineers a convenient excuse to declare a machine unrepairable. And add the energy price cap, which has made frightened households panic replace perfectly good machines chasing an A rating that, as you will see, saves them far less than they think. The system is not built to take your machine away by force, it is built to make you volunteer it. I want to be transparent about how this is built because most old versus new advice online is written by people with a brand new machine to sell you. This rests on 4 things. First, independent endurance data, including the German WFK Laundry Research Institute test, in which a batch of machines were run for the equivalent of 20 years of use. Second, the day-to-day experience of independent appliance engineers, the people who open these machines up and see exactly how the old ones and the new ones are built. Third, tear-down analysis of how the drum and bearing assemblies are actually constructed across the eras. And fourth, real running cost figures from the energy-saving trust and which. So the energy argument is settled with numbers rather than vibes. No manufacturer paid for placement here. The companies that need you buying a new machine every 6 years would be much happier if this video did not exist. That is roughly how you know it is honest. To understand what went wrong, you have to understand how a washing machine used to be built. Go back to the older designs, the machines from before, roughly, 2015, and especially the better ones from the decades before that. The drum sat inside an outer tub, and that tub came apart. It was held together with bolts or screws around its circumference. When the drum bearings eventually wore out, and bearings always wear out eventually, an engineer or a confident owner could split the tub, press out the old bearing, press in a new one for somewhere between £15 and £30, reseal it, and bolt it back together. The machine was designed to be opened. The fault was a part and the part was cheap. The whole appliance was built on the assumption that it would be maintained and kept, not binned and replaced. The manufacturer expected you to still own it in 15 years and engineered it accordingly. Then 2 things happened at the same time, and together they changed the entire category. The first was the sealed drum. To shave cost out of manufacturing, makers moved from a serviceable tub held together with fasteners to a single welded plastic tub, sealed shut at the factory with the bearings buried inside it. There is no way in. When the bearing fails, you cannot replace the bearing. You have to replace the entire drum assembly, and the price of that assembly is set, conveniently, at just below the cost of a new machine. So the engineer does the maths in his head, tells you it is not worth it, and you buy new. The machine did not die. It was sentenced at birth. The second was the move from mechanical to electronic everything. Older machines ran on simple timers and robust motors. Modern machines run on control boards, sensors and software. More things to fail, and when a control board fails out of warranty, the replacement board can again cost more than the machine is worth. Complexity was sold to you as progress. A good deal of it was just more ways to reach the same dead end. Let me take you inside exactly how a £30 problem becomes a £300 machine. The part that actually fails is a sealed steel ball bearing, the same component that has worn out in washing machines for 50 years. On its own it costs a few pounds. On a serviceable machine, an engineer splits the tub, drives the old bearing out, drives the new one in, replaces the shaft seal, and bolts it back together. An hour of work, a cheap part, and the machine is good for another decade. On a sealed machine, that identical bearing is welded inside a plastic shell that cannot be opened without destroying it. So the only repair the manufacturer recognises is a whole new outer drum, complete with a fresh bearing already sealed inside, priced at £200 to £300. The fault is the same, the part is the same. The only thing that changed is whether someone designed the machine to let you reach it. That single decision is the difference between a repair and a write-off. So here is the honest case against the typical new machine you would buy this weekend. Not every new machine, the typical one. The first problem is the sealed drum. On a great many mid-range and budget machines now, the outer tub is welded plastic. The single most common serious fault on any washing machine, a worn drum bearing, is the one fault these machines are built to make uneconomic to fix. A bearing that costs a few pounds becomes a whole drum assembly that costs more than the machine is worth, and the machine becomes scrap at the first major fault. Plenty of these are in landfill at 6 or 7 years. The repairable version of that exact fault on an older machine is a £100 to £150 job at most, and often a £30 job if you do it yourself. The second problem is the control board. The more a machine leans on electronics, the more it has a brain that can die. A failed main board out of warranty routinely costs more than the residual value of a budget machine, which means one electronic fault writes off the whole appliance. You did not buy a more advanced machine, you bought more single points of failure, and the touchscreens and app connectivity that get pushed as premium features are simply more components sitting between you and a working drum, each one a fresh thing to fail the day after the guarantee ends. The third problem is the energy label illusion, and I want to be precise about this because it is the argument people throw back. Yes, a new A-rated machine uses less power and water than an old one. That part is true, but look at the actual numbers. The Energy Saving Trust puts the running cost of a modern 7kg machine at roughly £25 to £35 a year. The gap between energy bands is small, on the order of £10 a year between an A and a C. And remember, the labels were reset in 2021, so a machine that proudly wore an A+++ label a decade ago would score around a C or D today. The real-world saving from scrapping a working old machine for a new one is usually tens of pounds a year, not hundreds, nowhere near enough to cover throwing a good machine away. The fourth problem is design life. Independent endurance testing found that across the brands tested, the average machine was built to last around 12 years, and many budget models in real use give up well before that. The shiny new machine is not a 20-year machine. It is, in many cases, a 5 to 7-year machine wearing a confident badge. The marketing talks about innovation and efficiency, and stays very quiet about how long the thing will actually survive in your kitchen, because the honest answer would sit badly next to the price. Built to clear the warranty, not built to clear the decade. Before I tell you which old machines to actually look for, do something for me. Drop a comment right now and tell me 2 things. How old is your current washing machine, and what, if anything, has ever actually gone wrong with it? My guess is that a striking number of you are going to say you have a machine that is 12, 15, even 20 years old and has never missed a beat. And I will bet a good number of you will also say you once replaced a machine that was only 5 or 6 years old. That is not a coincidence. That is 2 different design philosophies, built in 2 different eras, doing exactly what they were each designed to do. Now, the part the industry would rather you skipped: which old machines are genuinely worth keeping or buying, and why? The clearest example is Miele. In that German WFK endurance test, machines were run for nearly 5,000 cycles, the equivalent of 20 years of use. The Miele machines were the only ones that finished the test still working without a technician having to step in. Every other brand in the test needed an engineer or failed outright, and the average lifespan across those other brands worked out at around 12 years. Miele design and test their machines to the equivalent of 20 years, 10,000 hours of washing, with the door open 20,000 times, and owners routinely report machines passing the 2-decade mark. A 15-year-old Miele is not near the end of its life. It is comfortably midlife. If you can find a clean used one, you're buying the most durable laundry machine for a fraction of what it cost new. Next, the older serviceable drum machines from the mainstream brands, many Bosch, and Siemens machines, and the older Zanussi and AEG models, were built with bolt-together tubs and replaceable bearings, and they run for 15 years and more with the occasional cheap repair. Pre-2015 Hotpoint, Indesit and Whirlpool machines very often take universal replaceable bearings, which is why you still find people running 20-year-old Hotpoints, rebearing them every so often, treating it as routine maintenance rather than a death sentence. Compare that to a current Whirlpool Group machine with a welded plastic tub, where owners report the bearing failing at 7 years, and the only option being a new drum that costs more than the machine. Same company. 2 completely different philosophies, separated by the decision to seal the drum. There are modern designs worth respecting too, to be fair about it. LG direct drive machines often use a split tub so the bearings can be reached, and they drop the belt and motor failure points by driving the drum directly. Many Samsung models still sell their bearings as separate parts, which tells you the drum can be opened. The lesson is not simply old good, new bad. The lesson is serviceable good, sealed bad, and the older machines are far more likely to be serviceable. I will be straight about the trade-offs, because this channel does not sell you a fairy tale. A 15-year-old machine will cost you somewhat more to run, in the region of £20 to £40 a year more on energy and water, than a new A-rated model. It comes with no warranty. In a hard water area, it needs descaling to protect the heating element, and a genuinely worn-out machine, rusted and tired, is not worth saving. The argument is not that every old machine beats every new one. It is that a well-built, serviceable old machine beats a cheap, sealed, disposable new one, comfortably, on every measure that matters over time. So here is what you actually do. Write these down. Rule 1. Find out if the drum is serviceable before you commit to anything. The single most important question about any washing machine, old or new, is whether the outer tub comes apart. A serviceable tub is held together with a ring of clips, bolts or screws. A sealed tub is one smooth welded plastic shell with no way in. If you are buying used, ask or look up the model and the words bearing replacement. If people are selling bearing kits for it, the drum opens, and the machine can live for decades. Rule 2. Do the 4-second spin test. With the machine empty, spin the drum by hand and listen. A healthy machine spins quietly and smoothly. A low rumble or a grinding growl is the bearing starting to go. On a serviceable machine, that is a cheap expected repair, and not a reason to walk away. On a sealed machine, it is a death sentence. Same noise, completely different consequences, and now you know which is which. Rule 3. Protect the machine you have. In a hard water area, run a hot maintenance wash with a descaler once a month. Leave the door and the detergent drawer ajar between washes so the seal dries out and does not rot. Clean the filter. These 3 habits cost almost nothing and add years to any machine, old or new. The single most damaged part on most scrapped machines is the one lime scale destroys first. Rule 4. If you are buying used, buy reconditioned from someone who offers even a short guarantee, and favour the brands and eras we have named. A reconditioned, serviceable, quality old machine with a 3-month guarantee will outlive a brand new budget machine and cost you a fraction of the price. Let me show you why this is worth the effort, in pure numbers, over 10 years. Option 1. You take the engineer's advice and replace. You scrap your old machine and buy a new budget model for, say, £350. It is sealed, So when it develops a bearing fault at year 6, it is uneconomic to fix and you buy another one. Another 350. Across 10 years, you have bought 2 machines, sent 2 to landfill, and spent £700 before you have washed a single extra shirt. Option 2. You keep or buy a serviceable quality machine. Over 10 years, it needs its bearings done once, £150 with an engineer, or £30 if you're handy. Add the honest extra running cost. Call it £30 a year, £300 over the decade. Your total is around £450. The machine is still going, and nothing has gone to landfill. You have also skipped the days lost waiting in for 2 separate deliveries, the hassle of disposing of a dead machine twice, and the quiet stress of wondering whether the new one will make it through the year. The cheaper looking choice, scrapping and buying new, is the more expensive one. It almost always is. The sticker price of a new machine was never the real cost. The real cost was the cycle of replacement you were quietly signed up to the moment you believed an old machine was rubbish simply because it was old. Nobody prints that cost on the showroom ticket, because the showroom ticket is the smallest number in the whole equation. So here is the bottom line. None of this is nostalgia. It is not a conspiracy theory either. It is a business model, and it runs on one assumption: that you believe new is automatically better and old is automatically finished. Every time an engineer sucks his teeth at a 15-year-old machine, every time a panic over energy bills sends a working appliance to the tip, every welded plastic drum that turns a £30 fault into a landfill ticket, the industry is collecting on that belief. The machine you were told to throw away was, in a great many cases, the better machine all along. Do not scrap it because it is old. Scrap it only when it is genuinely beaten, and learn to tell the difference. The age of a machine tells you almost nothing. The way it was built tells you everything. Do not be sentimental about it. Be informed about it. If this video saved you from a costly mistake, subscribe now so you never miss one, and send it to anyone who's about to scrap a perfectly good machine because someone told them it was not worth fixing. Because very often, it is.